Good evening and welcome. This is the India Today newsroom. I'm Rahul Kamal. An internal report of the Election Commission which could spell trouble for 21 Aam Admi Party MLAs is our top focus on the newsroom tonight. Last month, the Election Commission put together a report after looking at the responses received from 21 MLAs of the Aam Admi Party. India Today has in its exclusive possession a copy of this report which concludes by saying that there is no provision under the law in Delhi for any minister to have a parliamentary secretary. Does this mean that the disqualification of 21 AAP MLAs is inevitable? That's our top focus on the newsroom this evening. I will get you this big India Today exclusive in just a moment from now, but let me also take you through the top 10 headlines at 10 p.m. tonight. Udta Punjab leaked on the internet just 2 days before the release. Needle of suspicion points to the censor board. Producer Anurag Kashyap files a police complaint. Censor board chief Pahlaj Nehlani refutes allegations of sabotage. Disqualification of Kejriwal's 21 MLAs could be inevitable. Internal Election Commission report accessed by India Today clearly states there is no provision for appointment of parliamentary secretaries according to the law in Delhi. After India Today exposes violations in the premium bus service scheme, Delhi Police's anti-corruption branch chief says charges against former Transport Minister Gopal Rai are very serious. The Delhi Police may also question Chief Minister Kejriwal.
हमें कंप्लेंट मिली है, उस कंप्लेंट के तहत कर रहे हैं, लेकिन ये जरूर है कि जो इसमें कंसर्न लोग हैं सबको बुलाया जाएगा, सबसे उनका व्यू पॉइंट लिया जाएगा, उन जो एलिगेशंस हैं उनके बारे में पूछा जाएगा.
A day after resigning as Congress's Punjab in charge, Kamal Nath claims his innocence in the 1984 Sikhs riots case. Says he's ready for a CBI probe.
Now, after 32 years, you say, please, I must stand up and say I submit myself to the inquiry. Of course, I have no problem in that.
You've said a very important thing. You have no problem submitting yourself to yet one more inquiry.
After 32 years, I have no problem.
Twist in the missing Ishrat Files case. Probe officer allegedly heard manipulating witnesses. Former Home Minister Chidambaram says he stands vindicated. In a major breakthrough, Kerala police arrest the accused in the Jisha rape and murder case. The victim was raped and brutally assaulted using sharp-edged weapons before being murdered at her house. This is possibly the most bizarre thing you'll see today. An entire village parades a young boy naked to appease rain gods to tackle the drought problem in Karnataka's Chitradurg. China criticizes US President Barack Obama for hosting the Dalai Lama at the White House, says the meeting harms China-US mutual trust and cooperation. Late and Kabali sets social media on fire. Rajnikant's latest teaser of the Nirupuda song goes viral within minutes of release, becomes the top trend on Twitter and registers over 1.5 million views on YouTube. India Today has been able to access an internal report of the Election Commission. This report was prepared after studying the responses of 21 Aam Admi Party MLAs. Remember, and I just want to put this in context. First, there was a complaint filed by an RTI activist with the president. That complaint went to the Election Commission. The Election Commission asked for responses from the AAP MLAs. After studying their responses, the Chief Electoral Officer of Delhi came to the conclusion that as per the current law in Delhi, there is absolutely no provision for ministers to have parliamentary secretaries, which essentially means, shorn of the legal jargon, that the appointment of 21 parliamentary secretaries by the Aam Admi Party government is invalid and illegal, which means that Delhi could at some point in time in the future see by-elections in 21 assembly seats. This is an India Today exclusive report.
For all the righteous rage by the Aam Admi Party, this could be the biggest blow to Chief Minister Kejriwal. The disqualification of his 21 MLAs appointed as parliamentary secretaries is now virtually inevitable. In an internal report accessed exclusively by India Today, The Election Commission has explicitly red-flagged Arvind Kejriwal's decision to install 21 MLAs as parliamentary secretaries to central ministers, a major embarrassment for the AAP chief. The Election Commission of India report has examined the representations made by 21 AAP MLAs in the Office of Profit Controversy, but it is in no mood to buy their argument. The report has been prepared by the Reference and Court Cases section of the Election Commission of India and was submitted to the poll panel on 17th May 2016. And this report clearly states that there is absolutely no provision of appointing a parliamentary secretary to a minister under the law that is currently applicable in Delhi. The report states that the Chief Electoral Officer of Delhi has examined the updated version of the Delhi Members of Legislative Assembly Removal of Disqualification Act 1997, along with all the amendments that have been made to the Act so far, and that after examining the responses filed by the 21 AAP MLAs, the poll panel has come to the conclusion that the appointments made by the Kejriwal government are invalid as per the law. The law applicable in Delhi provides for the appointment of a parliamentary secretary in the office of the chief minister, but there is no provision of parliamentary secretaries for central ministers. In June 2015, the AAP government had moved an amendment in the schedule of Delhi Members of Legislative Assembly Removal of Disqualification Act, but this amendment was struck down by the President. It's clear that the appointment of 21 MLAs is illegal. The question is, how long before the axe falls on them? With Kapil Sharma and Rahul Kanwal in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
This is the internal note of the Election Commission of India by the Reference and Court Cases section. India Today has this in its exclusive possession. It's dated the 16th of May 2016. In the end it says, and I want to show this to our viewers, that it is stated that the Chief Electoral Officer of Delhi was requested to obtain the updated version of the Delhi Members of Legislative Assembly Removal of Disqualification Act 1997, along with all the amendments made to the original act so far. It goes on to say that the CEO of Delhi assured that the copy of the act provided by him was the latest updated version. It concludes by saying, and this is very important, I want all of you to listen to this very carefully. After perusal of the act, it came to the notice that there is no mention of the office of Parliamentary Secretary to a minister in the said act. This is the report of the Election Commission of India, and I want to show you the original act also. This is the Delhi Gazette. Here is the original act. It talks about Schedule 7. I'll read out what Schedule 7 says. The office of the Parliamentary Secretary to the Chief Minister of the National Capital Territory of Delhi. There is no mention of ministers. The only mention is of the office of the Chief Minister, and therefore it raises questions about the manner in which the Aam Admi Party brought about these 21 MLAs and the way that they were appointed as parliamentary secretaries. Here, finally, before I go to my guess, is a copy of the amendment. Remember, here is the amendment of the Schedule 7 that they were wanting to amend, where they are saying here, in the entry at serial number 7, after the words Chief Minister, the words and Minister shall be inserted. This is the amendment they moved. India Today broke the story of how the President has rejected that amendment, which means that the law as it exists currently, which is the law I just read out to you, which only mentions Chief Minister and not ministers, is what is invoked. Therefore, the Election Commission has come to the conclusion that the appointment of these 21 MLAs as parliamentary secretaries is invalid. Joining us on the broadcast this evening, Raghav Chadha from the Aam Admi Party, Sudhanshu Trivedi from the BJP, T.S. Krishnamurthy is one of India's most respected former Chief Election Commissioners. He is joining us on this broadcast as well. I want to go across to Raghav Chadha first, because this internal note of the Election Commission clearly concludes by saying that what your government did, Raghav, was illegal and invalid, which means at some point soon there could be by-elections to 21 seats. How do you respond?
Well, Rahul, what you've just read is a statement of fact. It's the law and we knew the law before we appointed the parliamentary secretaries, and that therefore, as a matter of abundant caution, we ensured that we appoint parliamentary secretaries to the minister which do not constitute a situation of an office of profit, and therefore there is no need for them to find a mention in that list. Now let us understand what document you hold in your hand. The Election Commission of India, before commencing the proceedings of the office of profit issue, sought a report from the Chief Officer of Delhi. The Chief Electoral Officer of Delhi collated all material, the statements of law, fact, etc., and sent a report to the Election Commission of India. This report says that the Parliamentary Secretary to the Chief Minister with pecuniary entitlements finds its name in the exemption list, rightly so. It also goes to say that the Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister, not the Chief Minister, Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister with pecuniary entitlements does not find mention, and therefore that situation could lead to a creation of an office of profit. Therefore, as a matter of abundant caution, Arvind Kejriwal's government appointed Parliamentary Secretary to Minister without pecuniary entitlements. Therefore,
that
it does not lead to a situation of an office of profit.
Raghav, stay with me. Raghav, stay with me. I've heard you. Raghav, stay with me. I've heard you. I have that document with me, and I want to read. 1 second, Raghav, I'll come back to you. Raghav, I'll come back to you in just a moment. I have over here that paragraph. I want to read to our viewers. After perusal of the Act, it came to the notice that there is no mention of the office of Parliamentary Secretary to a minister in this Act, full stop. There is no mention of pecuniary benefit. The very appointment of the Parliamentary Secretary is not mentioned in the law. I want to listen. 1 second, Raghav. I've heard you. I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you.
There has to be pecuniary entitlement.
That's a separate question. Right now it says that the very appointment of a parliamentary secretary to a minister is not authorized as per law. I want to listen to Mr. Krishnamurthy because you've heard...
Not authorized as per law. That is not what it says. It says that it doesn't find a mention in the exemption
you're
list.
trying to monopolize the debate. You had your say. I'll come back to you in just a moment. Let's hear what other guests are also saying. You can have your say when I come back to you. Let's hear from Mr. Krishnamurthy. Sir, you've heard what is there in this Election Commission report. What do you make of this, sir?
Well, as far as the legal aspect is concerned, there are two aspects which have to be examined. The first one is whether the legislature has the authority to create the post of parliamentary secretary. Second, whether it is an office of profit. Mr. Raghav Chadha says that it is not an office of profit. Whether it has the power to create parliamentary secretary or not, or whether it can have an exemption with parliamentary secretary having perquisites. These are legal issues which need to be considered. But as the law stands now, if the legislature has no authority to create a parliamentary secretary, we have to examine. I am not sure whether it has the authority to create without perquisites. So this has to be examined. The facts have to be ascertained whether the members had any benefit or not. So the Election Commission will have to apply its mind to the legal aspect as well as the factual aspect to decide whether the creation of this post is valid or not.
So what do you make of the fact that the Chief Electoral Officer of Delhi, after looking at the Delhi Members of Legislative Assembly Removal of Disqualification Act 1997, has come to the conclusion that there is no mention of the office of Parliamentary Secretary to a minister in the Act at all? That's his conclusion, sir. What do you make of this, Mr. Krishnamurthy?
Yeah. No, Mr. Raghav Chadha says that the creation of Parliamentary Secretary without any perquisite does not come under the Act at all. This has to be examined. I am not sure whether that's the right interpretation. We have to examine it and see whether the legislature can create a Parliamentary Secretary without any perquisite. Second issue is whether there was any perquisite or not. Both have to be examined. The Election Commission will have to come to a decision after proper inquiry.
Okay, I'm coming to you, Raghav, in just a moment. I want to hear from Sudhanshu Trivedi first, and then I'm coming straight to you, Raghav. Give me a moment. Let's hear from Sudhanshu Trivedi. Because at the crux of the argument being made by the Aam Admi Party, Sudhanshu, is the point that it's about monetary benefit. If the AAP MLAs did not enjoy any monetary benefit, therefore they don't come under the clauses of office of profit, and therefore what the Chief Minister did was fine. Sudhanshu Trivedi.
if you look at the Office of Profit judgment of Supreme Court, in which the Sonia Gandhi has to step down, it is not just the perks and other related things that has been elaborately defined. But over and above the technical aspect, I would like to ask a political question. Two points to Aam Admi Party. Why you need a parliamentary secretary when you claims to have a brand of politics which doesn't need any post? You are an Aam Admi person. You are having a crusade against VIP culture. Then why you want to have your MLAs this extra post? Now, okay, if you realize that the brand of politics which you are championing was immaturity, now you have to have some constitutional powers in order to execute the works which you want, then why you have not followed the constitutional process? The reason being, it is the typical characteristic of Aam Admi Party that flout every aspect of constitutionality and try to portray as a champion of morality. So it is going along with their same characteristic.
Let Raghav
one,
respond, because
why
if
was the
this...
need? Number
okay,
two,
I
why
hear
you have not
Sudhanshu.
followed the
Fair enough.
constitutional
That's a
process?
good point to which the Aam Admi Party must respond, because if there was nothing wrong in your appointment, you would not have moved this amendment which sought to add the phrase "and minister" to the chief minister, which existed in Schedule 7. You were forced to do it because you realized you'd made a big mistake.
Now, okay, now a number of questions have been asked. In the interest of fairness, please allow me some time to respond. First of all, Sudhanshu ji's question. Now, the difference between the parliamentary secretary appointed by the Bharatiya Janata Party and the Congress Party state governments and the difference and the ones appointed by Arvind Kejriwal is this. Mr. Narendra Modi, when he was the Chief Minister of Gujarat in 2009, appointed 6 parliamentary secretaries. He gave them the rank of a deputy minister, he gave them Gadi, he gave them Bangla, he gave them an official car,
the law that applies to Delhi is the law that you must look at. What
Arvind
some
Kejriwal
other state
appointed parliamentary secretaries.
No, one second, Raghav, there is a difference. There's a difference. The difference is that Delhi is not any other state.
If you invite me to a panel discussion, if you want me to participate in this panel discussion, you have to give me time. If you do not want me to speak, kindly do not invite spokespersons from Aam Admi Party. Now let me respond. I've heard your questions. I've heard the questions of the BJP as well. The difference is that that Arvind Kejriwal's government has appointed parliamentary secretaries without any pecuniary benefit, no salary, nothing. They work pro bono. That's one. Point number 2, Mr. S.Y. Qureshi, the former Chief Election Commissioner of India, was on Aaj Tak with me on your Hindi channel a couple of hours back, and he said that the document that you hold in your hand has absolutely no bearing on the Office of Profit issue and the proceedings that are going on before the Election Commission. The matter is sub judice, and let the Election Commission, which is a quasi-judicial body, decide whether a matter of Office of Profit is there or is there not. Now coming to the question asked by the eminent panelist. The legislature, the legislations do not give the power to the the governments to appoint parliamentary secretaries. It is always done through an administrative decision and an administrative order. Now this is the 1997 order in which the Bharatiya Janata Party Chief Minister in Delhi, running the government of Delhi, appointed a parliamentary secretary. After this, in 1999, Sheila Dikshit appointed Ajay Makan as parliamentary secretary. All these things were done by virtue of an administrative decision. There is no legislation that empowers, and there is no need for a legislation to empower the government to appoint parliamentary secretary.
There is no legislation. One second, Raghav. You can't monopolize this debate. I'm sorry. If there is no legislation that is required, then why did you move an amendment? Just because you understand how to monopolize airtime doesn't mean all of what you're saying makes sense. If there is no need for legislation, why did you move a legislation? Why did you retrospectively seek a clause which brought in and ministers? If there was no need, you wouldn't have needed to do it. You will respond, but before that, let's hear from Sudhanshu Trivedi.
I want to answer
No, you can't be the only one on the panel speaking and trying to run down everybody else. You're not the only person we want to hear from. I also want to hear from Sudhanshu Trivedi. I'm not the only one. You're taking up more airtime than anybody else. Raghav, you've taken up more airtime. You're playing the victim card. You're speaking more than everybody else put together. This is a typical tactic. Just one second. Let's hear from Sudhanshu Trivedi. I'm coming back to you, Raghav, in just a moment. I'm coming back to you, Raghav, in just a moment. Let's hear from Sudhanshu Trivedi.
Technically, the issue of the Office of Profit, which was having some grey areas, has become categorically clear after 2006. Whatever you are quoting is a pre-2006 instances or example. Second thing, you must understand that Delhi is not a full-fledged state like Gujarat or any other state. So you have to go by the constitutions of quasi-state, which is like practically a union territory. And third thing, politically I would like to say, the Aam Admi party, which always claimed that they are having a totally different structure and different approach, now they are trying to take an alibi on the pretext of other political parties. The third aspect which exposes the real face of Aam Admi party.
Okay, one second, Raghav, before you respond, let's also bring in Mr. Krishnamurthy, because one of the things that needs to, I'm coming to you, Raghav, one of the things that needs to be kept in mind, sir, is the fact that Delhi is a state that is different from others. It's essentially less than a state, more than a union territory, and the law that applies is a law that must be followed. So a law which is applicable in Rajasthan or Gujarat or any other state of the country is not the law. As a former chief election commissioner told me today, the law is an ass, and the election commission will take a decision on the basis of the law as it exists for Delhi, not for other states. How do you respond to that, Mr. Krishnamurthy?
No, I agree. Delhi is not a fully fledged legislature. It has certain limitations of powers, and one of the things is the Lieutenant Governor will have a role to play. That is one aspect. The other aspect is Mr. Raghav Chadha says that the amendment was only by way of abundant caution. I'm not quite convinced. Abundant caution means, is it that in future you wanted to give some perquisites for these parliamentary secretaries? The purpose behind this amendment, I'm not very convinced. But whatever it be, the full facts and the legal aspect will have to be gone through in the light of the Supreme Court judgments. And I do not think you can take a categorical stand that Delhi has its own privileges in this regard.
Okay, Raghav Chadha, final words before I conclude.
May I respond now?
You must.
Now, yes. Now, the BJP spokesperson on the panel says that post 2006 parliamentary secretaries in Delhi could have been appointed because there was legislative backing. Now, Sheila Dikshit ji appointed parliamentary secretaries in 2012. She appointed parliamentary secretaries in 2013 and then in 2014.
To her
it is
office,
the same set of notifications and administrative powers that were used by the government of NCT of Delhi, which is run by the Aam Admi party, to appoint this.
You know,
now please let me complete.
It's not allowed for ministers,
I will answer all your questions.
which is why you have to move an amendment.
Is concerned,
it's allowed for the chief minister. You deliberately try and distort the argument.
The chief election commissioner on the panel has understood my point. May I please respond?
You must.
You have to understand which legislation we are talking about. We are talking about the Delhi Members of Legislative Assembly Removal of Disqualification Act 1997. That is that there is a list in which there is a mention of parliamentary secretary to chief minister with pecuniary entitlements. But the parliamentary secretaries appointed by Arvind Kejriwal's government are parliamentary secretary to minister without pecuniary entitlements, and therefore there is no need for them to find a mention in this exemption list because a situation of office of profit does not arise. This is precisely what I'm saying, and I will go one step further and say that the appointment is pending before the High Court. The office of profit issue is pending before the Election Commission. One is a court, one is a quasi-judicial body. The matter is sub judice. Whether it is a matter of office of profit or it leads to disqualification or not will not be decided on your channel or on any other channel. It will be decided before the Election Commission and the High Court. So let them adjudicate.
Absolutely. We are in no mood to run a kangaroo court. That's not what we do in India today. We are putting out facts in the public domain in the way that they stand. The Aam Admi party, by arguing vociferously, cannot take away what the Election Commission says in its current report. What it will say in its final report, we do not know. What it says in its current report, and I want to call my camera person in once again to show you this. After perusal of the act that Raghav Chadha is talking about, the Delhi Members of Legislative Assembly Removal of Disqualification Act 1997, it came to notice that there is no mention of the office of Parliamentary Secretary to a minister in this act. That's what it says. The Chief Minister can have a Parliamentary Secretary. The minister in his government cannot. That is the law in Delhi. That is the way it stands at this time. Whether or not there can be another reading is something we will know when the Chief Election Commission decides. The Aam Admi party will have the likes of Raghav Chadha presenting their case. The Election Commission will decide. But what we have on paper is the story we've put out tonight. This is the current understanding inside the Election Commission of where things stand. And if read very simply, it means the appointment was invalid. These 21 MLAs could not have been appointed, which is why they had to bring an amendment later. 90 days later, they had to bring an amendment because they realized later that this would land them in trouble. But anyway, let's see what the High Court says. Let's also see what is said by the Election Commission. Mr. Krishnamurthy, Sudhanshu Trivedi, Raghav Chadda for joining us. Thank you very much. I want to move to the next story tonight. This also comes from Delhi, where now Arvind Kejriwal has hit out at Najib Jung, accusing the Lieutenant Governor of shielding a BJP MP who he claims to be involved in murder. It is getting very, very nasty. Ankit Tyagi gets this story.
Under fire from the opposition, Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal today shot off an angry letter to the Lieutenant Governor. Kejriwal launched a stinging attack on Jung, accusing him of shielding BJP MP Mahesh Giri and NDMC Vice Chairman Karan Singh Tawar in the murder of lawyer MM Khan, a charge strongly refuted by the leaders in question and the cops.
जब विनाश नजदीक आता है तो बुद्धि भ्रष्ट हो जाती है और वही केजरीवाल जी के साथ हुआ
या एनडीएमसी के श्री वाइस चेयरपर्सन श्री तनवर भी एक्यूज हैं और पुलिस उसको प्रेशर में आके उन पर एक्शन नहीं ली है जो तथ्य पड़े है और हमारे इन्वेस्टिगेशन में इनके खिलाफ कोई भी एविडेंस नहीं आया.
Kejriwal, however, did not stop at that. He taunted the Lieutenant Governor, accusing him of giving the BJP a free hand to commit crimes in Delhi. He also mocked the LG, urging him to order a CBI or an ACB probe on the solar policy. Meanwhile, the party also removed its MLA Al-Kalamba as a party spokesperson, reportedly for contradicting the party line on Gopal Rai's resignation. This even as the ACB chief told India Today that Kejriwal himself may be called in for questioning.
क्वेश्चनिंग भी हमने स्टार्ट कर दी है और जो जितने भी उससे कंसर्न लोग हैं सारे कंसर्न लोगों को बुलाएंगे, उसके बाद ही हम कंक्लूजन बता सकते हैं कि इस पर्टिकुलर पॉलिसी में क्या है.
While Kejriwal has completely denied any wrongdoing and claims that his party is being targeted by the centre, moves like gagging its spokesperson or mocking the LG all reflect the psyche of a leader who is seriously feeling the pressure of the controversies surrounding him. Bureau Report, India Today.
In the midst of all of this, we've now got breaking news coming in that Lieutenant Governor Najib Jung has ordered an inquiry, has ordered for the Anti-Corruption Bureau to look at the charges levelled by a BJP MLA, Vijender Gupta, against Arvind Kejriwal. Arvind Kejriwal is accused of not acting against the tanker mafia that he hit out against when he was in the opposition. The Lieutenant Governor has also given a green signal for an inquiry by the ACB against former Chief Minister Sheila Dikshit. So two inquiries being given a green signal to by Lieutenant Governor Najib Jung. Ankit Tyagi, who covers the Aam Admi Party, is joining us. What is being said by the BJP MLA is that when they were in opposition for 8 months, they kept hitting out at the tanker mafia. And after coming to power for 8 months, that same company continued with the contract they had and no action was taken. Now, Najib Jung has ordered an inquiry. The ACB will start from tomorrow morning. What's the Aam Admi Party telling you?
Well, as far as the Aam Admi Party is concerned, clearly the Delhi Jal Board's chairman, Kapil Misra, who is also the Water Resource Minister in Delhi, he has said that there is no wrongdoing. We, in fact, after coming to power, according to them, they made a fact-finding committee. That committee sent a report to Kapil Misra. Kapil Misra then verified that report and that was sent to the Chief Minister, who then forwarded it to the ACB and the CBI. That is what the Aam Admi Party's official stand on this is. They are saying that even if the Lieutenant Governor decides to drag in Arvind Kejriwal on this, we are ready. He says anyway, he always is trying to destabilize Delhi government. We will tackle it politically.
What about the charges against Sheila Dikshit? Those again will be probed by the ACB.
That's right. So the ACB, that charges, in fact, that recommendation was made by the Delhi government, Rahul, in which they have said that those contracts were given by Sheila Dikshit. She was presiding over as the chairperson of the DJB at that point of time, and questions should be asked of her why, despite a negative report from her own department, she went ahead and gave those contracts. This is something that the ACB now is going to probe.
Okay. Ankit Tyagi will continue tracking the story very closely. Thank you very much. We're slipping into a break. When we welcome back. Just days before its release, a substantial portion of Udta Punjab has been leaked online. Now, the producers of Udta Punjab believe is a deliberate ploy by the censor board to sabotage the prospects of their film so that people feel they've already seen it online and don't go to theatres. The actors are very upset. Pahlaj Nelani, for his part, is saying that there has been no sabotage.
These pirated DVDs of the upcoming film Udta Punjab are a new headache for the filmmakers. Just 2 days before the anticipated release, these DVDs are reportedly available in Mumbai. And a torrent link on the internet also making the lives of the filmmakers difficult. As soon as the reports of the movie surfaced, the filmmakers swung into action and removed the torrent link. Reports suggest that the leaked copy was the one submitted to the Central Board of Film Certification. And it also features some scenes which the censor board had objected to. Coincidentally, the length of the film was also the same as given to the censor board.
फिल्म जो है जहाँ से भी लीक हुई है साइबर क्राइम को हमने FIR किया हुआ है और वो इन्वेस्टिगेट कर रहे हैं जब तक इन्वेस्टिगेशन का रिजल्ट नहीं आएगा कोई भी हवा में नहीं कह सकता कि कहाँ से लीक हुआ है.
If it is a censor copy, we are not sure if it is a censor copy. If it is a censor copy that's come out on torrent, then that's a big shame. It's a big shame for the CBFC.
CBFC chief Prahlad Nilani has claimed that it's very easy for the producers to charge the board.
जब वो दिखाता है फिल्म अपने साथ ले आता है अपने साथ जो है वो ले जाता है तो हमारे पोजीशन में पिक्चर कभी आती ही नहीं है.
A concerned Bollywood united to raise their voice against piracy. From Alia Bhatt to Shahid Kapoor to Amir Khan and Karan Johar, everyone appealed their followers to watch the film in theatres and not succumb to the online leaks.
Anurag Kashyap also says that this is not just a fight against piracy, this is a fight against censorship and a fight against the curbing of rights. He appeals to the public that even though Udta Punjab has flown off before its scheduled takeoff, they not get on board just yet. In Mumbai, this is Shilpa Ratnam.
Joining us on the newsroom now is Uday Shankar Pani. He's with the censor board. Ashok Pandit is also with the censor board. Raja Sen is a film critic. He's watched Udta Punjab and I want to ask him later on in the show what he makes of the film. But first I want to go across to Uday Shankar Pani because the clip that's been put out on torrent clearly says censor on the side, which means that this is what Anurag Kashyap and his team from Balaji showed the censor board, which essentially has the makers believe that someone in the censor board leaked this. How do you respond, Mr. Pani?
I think the people who are accusing censor board are totally ignorant of the way censor board works. First of all, very rightly, Mr. Nilani has put it that it never comes to censor board's possession. You know, the first screening and the second screening, whatever, if there is a revising committee screening, the hard disk comes, their man brings it, their man shows it and takes it away. And only when after the censor certificate is issued, it is technically they have to submit one DVD of the film in its final shape of what has been cut. Now, as per the reports, whatever we have received is that the censor copy got leaked out at 1:30. Now, censor board never had, was never in possession of that, and we got, and the censor board got the copy at 6:30, and that too the uncut version. Whereas to censor board they have submitted the censored copy, the print with the cuts. So
Pandit, one second.
It's
I hear what you're saying.
That censor board has nothing to do with this, whatever is got leaked out.
They're saying they never got a copy of the DVD and therefore cannot be held guilty of having leaked it. What are you making of this? He's saying their man brought the copy, their man took the copy, we never had it, we didn't leak it. So don't call this sabotage. Ashok Pandit, what do you make?
I'm surprised that a filmmaker of Uday Shankar Pani, who's from the industry, is unaware of how the CBFC functions. Now let me tell you very much in detail, Rahul. When you submit the film for your first examining committee, you submit a DVD with your papers to the CBFC. and the film is watched by the examining committee in a theatre of the CBFC's choice. It's not your choice. It's not the producer's choice. So the film is screened in a theatre of CBFC's choice. One. So the film is screened there. It is there on record in that theatre. Now the film again goes to the revising committee, and the revising committee, the film is again seen in the theatre of the CBFC's choice. So it can be downloaded in either of the theatres when the film is screened there. So
you believe this is sabotage? Ashok Pandit, do you believe that this is deliberate sabotage by Prahlad Nehlani, who's upset with the High Court?
Rahul, let me finish.
Yes.
Rahul, let me finish, please. One sec. And the copy of the film is there with FCAT from 25th of May. It is there still. So what I'm trying to say is that because, see, last month, even the censor copy of Sairat, the Marathi film, was online. Nobody raised this kind of a... The problem here is that there is a distrust. The CBFC's chairman has taken it on a very personal level to see to it that the film doesn't release and the film is hammered. Now that the courts have come in rightly to see to it that the film is released, there is a doubt, there is something in the minds of people, in the minds of filmmakers, in the minds of producers. Now there are two establishments which are involved in it, the producers and the CBFC. Do you think that the producers will be responsible?
That's a very good point. That's a very, very good point. Uday Shankar Pani must respond to it. Why would a producer want to damage the prospects of his own film? That makes no sense, Mr. Pani. If at all he'll guard this zealously.
No, it is police to find out what has really happened, but it is wrong to pick on a person like Prahlad Nehlani, who has made the entire functioning of CBSE transparent and absolutely made it corruption free.
I disagree.
It's wrong to raise a finger.
One second, Mr. Pani, I want to show you this. Mr. Pani, I want to show something to you. Mr. Pani, I want to show something to you. Take a look at this censor certificate. It says over here, where you have to give the names of who are the people who passed this. It says SC Dharmadhikari and Shalini Joshi. These are the two judges of the High Court. So it says over here, passed by the Honorable Delhi High Court, SC Dharmadhikari and Shalini Joshi. Clearly, Prahlad Nehlani is acting in a very petty fashion by putting down the names of the High Court judges as the people who've cleared this. Now, what is this? This is disrespectful to the judiciary, Mr. Pani.
Not at all. This is the fact. This is what has happened.
And he also doesn't sign it.
Not the revising
he also doesn't sign it, Rahul.
The film.
Rahul, he
they
doesn't sign it.
The film. It is the
he doesn't sign the certificate.
No, absolutely. This is the truth. And Ashok, I don't think ever censor board gets the copy. We never. It's the hard disk which comes. Nowadays we are not taking DVD. It is the DSP.
Uday, was the film screened twice? Was the film's hard disk or DVD, whatever it is? The film is screened there twice.
Man brought the hard disk.
Is the film screened there?
And he took it back. No, Ashok,
film is screened there or not twice?
No, Ashok will never get that. No, it doesn't come in our hand. It is their man who comes and sits outside the projector room and
but Mr. Pani, you can't take away the fact that there are only two parties that have access to this film. Will the producers want to leak this deliberately, or will a censor board that seems to have been slighted want to release this? Just hold your fire, both of you, for a moment. I want to go across to Raja Sen, because aside from all these controversies, you actually had an opportunity to watch this film as a renowned film critic. Give our viewers a sneak peek of what you made of this film, Raja. How good is it?
Well, Rahul, it's a pretty important film. You know, the fact is that it is a strong anti-drug film. It is a strong message film, and the message slightly gets in the way of the entertainment. It's so clearly pronounced as a film that is a crusading film. But it is also a very well acted film. It is a film that uses music very well, and it's a film we should be very glad has had the chance to come to us mostly uncut.
One of the things that the censor board feels is that this film is anti-Punjab, that it shows all of Punjab in bad light. Is that the sense you got by watching this film, Raja?
Not at all, Rahul. I think the film is very strongly anti-drug, as I said. It is nowhere near anti-Punjab. It is in fact concerned for Punjab. 3 out of the 4 protagonists are from Punjab, very strongly Punjabi protagonists, and you root for them, you side with them, and I think the film is totally concerned about Punjab, not at all against it.
Okay, the censor board also had huge problems about the use of expletives and the kind of language that was being used, and it essentially seemed to suggest that all of Punjab is being shown in bad light through this film.
Well, Rahul, I think that's a very immature reaction that we've often seen from the CBFC in recent years. But yes, there are expletives in the film, and I think these expletives are very important in communicating how these characters talk. There is a character called Tommy Singh, played by Shahid Kapoor, who is more or less based on a cursing rapper, someone like Yo-Yo Honey Singh. And if Yo-Yo Honey Singh's real lyrics and real music are not being censored, what is the point of censoring what Shahid Kapoor is saying in this film?
Uday Shankar Pani, the film critic, says the reaction of the censor board is very immature. It doesn't show Punjab in bad light. It highlights instead the problem of drug menace, which is something that people should appreciate. That here's a film that takes a hard look at the problem of drug consumption in Punjab and generally, and therefore it should actually be welcomed instead of going and trying to chop the film off.
Rahul, censor board has nothing to do with the film is good or bad. We have to follow the rule book. There are some, as per the Cinematography Act, some rules and regulations have been done, some curse words cannot be used. So we are just following the rules. And mind you, everyone thinks that probably 7-8 films are watched by Palaj Nilani. No, not at all. It is watched by people from different walks of life. There are engineers, there are doctors, there are professors who watch the film and judge
Rahul,
the film
may I interrupt for a second?
So I want final words. Raja Sen wants to come in and have a word, and then Ashok Pandit. Go ahead, Raja.
Sir, you're just saying that the CBFC follows the Cinematograph Act, but you're also saying that there are certain swear words that shouldn't be allowed. Now, Mr. Nihalani had come up with a very controversial list of a few words that should never be used, but that list has since been rubbished by everyone else in the CBFC. So tell us truthfully, does the list exist and is it being used?
Yes, there is a list. There are curse words which cannot be used, which we don't allow even in Hollywood films. Forget about Indian films. Now we have to follow the rule book.
No, it's a joke. The censor board is a joke.
Rule book, if some people are getting
Mr. Nilani's own films and the kind of stuff that happened in his films? I want final words from Ashok Pandit.
Rahul, it's amazing that a filmmaker, Uday Shankar Pani, is talking like a typical bureaucrat. It's a tragedy. Now, if he is hiding behind the clause of the rule book, I have read the entire guideline. I am on the board myself, where in the rule book is written that you can't use the word Ludhiana, you can't use the word Amritsar, you can't use the word Punjab, and it's the biggest joke is that's what we hammered ourselves in the board meeting, that these 20 cuss words are not allowed. Rest 150 cuss words are allowed. Who are you to decide whether these 20 cuss words are allowed? Where is it written in the guideline? Uday Shankar Pani, don't misguide people.
Okay.
You are a filmmaker first and then an examining committee member.
Okay, I want to end this broadcast by saying, I'm out of time, Uday Shankar Pani. I want to end this broadcast by saying that very senior sources in the Modi government are telling us that over the next few days, they want to move away from censorship to certificate. They want to bring in the changes that Shyam Benegal is speaking about. Make it easier for filmmakers to make films. Leave it to the board only to certify whether it's an adult film or a UA film, and just do away with this whole business of wanting to play super censor. Yeah. Let's just hope the sooner that happens, the better it is. Thank you very much, Mr. Pani. Thank you, Ashok Pandit. Thanks also, Raja Sen. I want to also tell our viewers that at midnight tonight, our entertainment team in Mumbai will bring you all the reviews to this film. There's a press screening taking place at this time. We've got lots of film critics watching this with our entertainment team. At 12 o'clock tonight, you can watch this live coverage right here on India Today. I want to get you now the big political controversy around Kamal Nath, the Congress leader who was made in charge of Punjab, but very quickly, because of the huge political storm around it, Kamal Nath decided to do a backtrack and said that he didn't want to be the Punjab chief. But what this really raises to my mind is a question about how decisions are currently being taken in the Congress party. In the era of social media, when you've got an aggressive opposition like the Aam Admi Party, how did the Congress think they could get away with this? Was there no mind applied before this decision was taken? And if this was thought through, why then did it have to be taken back?
The ghost of 1984 anti-Sikh riots coming back to haunt the Congress party. Kamal Nath's appointment as Congress Punjab in charge came as a rude shock to many, and their reaction was on predictable lines. To undo the fiasco, the Congress leader had to recuse himself from his new position.
इसके पीछे केवल राजनीति है और मैं ये राजनीति समझता हूँ, क्योंकि ये ध्यान मोड़ने की राजनीति में सफल ना हो पाए, मैंने ये तय किया कि इससे दूर रहना और अलग रहना ही अच्छा है.
However, Kamal Nath's resignation was not as straight as it looks. Informed sources say party Vice President Rahul Gandhi and strategist Prashanth Patel were not happy with his appointment. It is also believed Rahul Gandhi's visit to Jalandhar sealed the deal for Kamal Nath, as several state leaders voiced their grievances over his appointment. The most vocal opposition came from within his party. Former Union Minister MS Gill hit out at the appointment, echoing sentiments of many within the Punjab unit of Congress.
The courts prevaricate, divert, delay. This is what goes on. You appoint policemen, they again try to cover up. Nothing is going to happen. It's already dead.
However, a cornered Congress presented a brave face and rallied behind Kamal Nath.
He has, on his own volition, requested to be relieved of the responsibility. Congress party has not buckled under any pressure.
This flip-flop has once again brought the political acumen of the Congress leadership into sharp focus.
The decision of Kamal Nath to recuse himself as the General Secretary in charge of Punjab will certainly stop the perception that the Congress is an anti-Sikh party. But the question still remains whether the damage will be controlled or not. In Delhi, Ashar Khan for India Today.
This is where we wrap up the newsroom tonight. I look forward to seeing you at 10 p.m. tomorrow evening. Till then, from all of us here in the India Today newsroom, goodbye, good night.